Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and we have an incredible show prepared for you today. Lots of big topics, but we have to start off with a huge welcome back to Boxer Bear, aka Archimedes, aka Archie. Boxer Bear, first of all, dude, it is so great to have you back. You are on your road to recovery from nearly having some big trouble with COVID-19, but it's great to have you back, brother. How are you feeling?
Yeah, first, thank you for having me back again. I'm so glad to be back. Boom. The last 4 weeks have been really hard. COVID hit me like a train. I was in the hospital for 4 days. I had really problems breathing and I was really scared, but now I am recovering very well. My blood values are good. The doctors say I'll be back on track in 1 or 2 weeks, and I feel fit enough to talk gaming with you guys again. And I have to really say the last 4 weeks I truly missed you guys.
Yeah, we missed you too, brother. Definitely.
Yeah, and I'm really glad to be back. And I want to just if you give me that second, I want to say a big thank you, not just to the panel here. They all reached out to me in DMs, but there were a ton of people in the DMs from the community that just reached out, sent me well wishes, and asked how I'm feeling. And I was truly surprised by how many people actually care. And I couldn't be more thankful. And I just want to say a big thank you to the community and everyone who reached out. So thank you so much.
Dude, listen, man, you are an important part of this community. One thing that I will say, I think that when it comes to real life things, regardless of where your loyalties fall on which plastic box that plays your favorite games, I think that this community really does come together and prove that humanity is ultimately going to win in a conversation when it comes to real life situations. And seeing you come back for me as someone who was checking on you almost on a daily basis, I'm happy to have you back here, brother, because what you had is real, and it's scary. And the fact that you are here not only for to talk video games, but more importantly, you're there for your family, and they don't lose their pop. Obviously, you have 2 small children. You have your wife, and to know that you're doing well is great. It's honestly, it's great to have you back, and it's good that you're on the road to recovery, brother. So welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's continue with the introductions. We're gonna start with our guest. Now, this is a big week for the elusive gamer, aka Jamie Moran. Not only was Tuesday his birthday, but on the same birthday week, he's getting Mass Effect, the Legendary Edition, released for the Xbox, obviously, and of course the PlayStation and PC. In the same birthday week, Jamie, how you doing, brother? I know you got to be excited.
Yeah, thanks, man. Happy to be here. And yeah, it's been a cool week. Just taking time to relax. And I've been talking about this Mass Effect Legendary Edition, or the remaster, since 2019. And yeah, as a series, I've played every year since like the first came out. Wow. I couldn't be more excited. Like, I've played the first game 10 times. Like the first game was so good. The second the credits rolled, I opened up New Game Plus. Like, that's how much I enjoyed it. And yeah. To get achievements again in Mass Effect is going to be fun because it's been too long.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun, man. And plus, we're going up to E3 soon, so there's plenty of more news to talk about. So it's all good.
So just for clarification, let the community know where do you fall on the ongoing saga that was started by Lord Cognito of the Iron Lords podcast? Are you a Mass Effect 1 fanboy or a Mass Effect 2 fanboy?
Okay, so I have a pretty unique thought on this, and I'm going to give the definitive answer. The first one is my favorite, but the sequel is better.
We can keep him on the show, Boom.
Yeah, I approved. The first game is my favorite game of all time. Like, the introduction to the universe, the characters, the music, the lore, everything about it I loved. But the sequel, the way it had mission structure, unlike the first game had secondary quests where you just go to an empty square of a planet, you go to a warehouse and clear it out. The sequel had these bespoke missions set in these like created places that felt unique, and the missions were just better in the sequel. The character arcs were better. You had proper loyalty missions, whereas in the first game you just did this mini little side quest thing, and you opened up a dialogue section. It's like the sequel did so much better, even though it had less RPG mechanics. It was a more streamlined game, and it's easier to go back to. Like the first game aged like bad. The make controlled like a wet bar of soap on a slab of ice, and it was always an issue, and it was a meme back in 2007. And they've fixed the Mako and the shooting for the Legendary Edition, which is awesome. But like, there's something about the sequel and the run up to the final mission that it's the best. It's one of the best games ever made. I give the second Mass Effect game a 10 out of 10, even though the first game is my favorite.
Okay. Well, I mean, listen. Again, this is going to be a real treat for the community. I think that this is going to make it's going to do gangbuster numbers. I think that this could potentially be one of the biggest selling games for EA of 2021, and I dare say that it will give games like Call of Duty and Battlefield a run for their money. Everyone loves Mass Effect. Everyone's been waiting for this, and they really apparently pulled out all the stops, because I've seen a ton of side-by-sides, and it looks like a brand new game. And obviously Mass Effect 1 got a major overhaul, which of course I cannot wait to play and see what that's about. But okay, well, listen, good stuff, Jamie. Good to have you here, brother. And last and no way least, now we do have Joe, Mr. Badbit. He'll be here probably in about a few minutes. He said he'd be here about 10 after, so we should get Joe momentarily. But 3-Bit, welcome back to the program, brother. How the heck are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's good to be on the show too. I also need a little bit of a distraction. It's been a crazy week with my dog and some other stuff going on, work. But yeah, I'm ready to talk some games. I forgot until Elusive said it, that Mass Effect, that they're improving the gameplay on the first one, because that was that was my one gripe with the first one, where I thought the story was amazing, but I couldn't get through some of the combat and some of that. But yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I think that game's going to be a pretty big game for EA as well. I agree with you there, Boom. But I'm ready to get into the show. It's going to be awesome.
Well, listen, let's as we wait for Joe to pop in here, let's start talking Xbox. Now, before we get into that, folks, I had, if you're, obviously you haven't been in, a part of the show, and you maybe missed the last week or so, I had officially stopped monetization on the channel, and that took a lot of people by storm. No super chats, no super stickers, no channel memberships. And I'm not even making money on the videos. And there's a reason for it. That particular reason, I just want everyone to understand that I am not ready to share. But that announcement is coming soon. It's a big announcement. It's something that I've been working for a very long time. And we are finally going to be in a position to do what my dream was. And again, Mrs. Boomstick and I are good. We do appreciate all of the messages, and quite frankly, I couldn't keep up with them. That's how many kept coming in. We will be reinstating all of the ways you can support Double Barrel Gaming, through super chats, through super stickers, through channel memberships, but that's not going to happen yet. And when it's going to happen, like I said, the big announcement for the channel will be coming. And when that announcement is ready, believe you me, folks, I'll be going to the top of the roofs with the megaphone and letting everybody know. So, of course, I just want to let everyone know that we're good, and the big announcement is coming. It's just we're just not ready to talk about it just yet. And as soon as we do, everyone will know. So I want to thank everybody for their concerns, and of course, obviously the incredible support that had basically put us in a position where we can make this big move now. And I'll be talking about that in the coming weeks, probably right before E3 we'll be ready to make this announcement. So once again, thank you for everyone that reached out to me, that has been asking, and like I said, the announcement will be coming very, very soon. But let's get into the Xbox part. I mean, this is the Xbox Factor podcast, and of course you're here for the biggest and best Xbox news, and I am, along with this incredible panel, gonna deliver it. And of course, the first topic of the day comes to us about a story that for the Xbox executive teases new IP for Game Pass that quote unquote will blow your mind. Now, according to Xbox head of gaming services Ben Decker has a hyped new unannounced game currently in the works at one of Microsoft's many studios in the new interview with Games Radar, where I pulled this story from. Here is what Ben had to say. And I quote, "We have 23 studios across Xbox and Bethesda working on Halo, Forza, Fallout, and a new IP that we haven't talked about yet that is going to, quote unquote, blow your minds. We can deliver all of that onto Game Pass day and date." Now, in the interview, he doesn't disclose what the new IP is or, in fact, who is making the new IP, though one of the first-party studios that no one but Double Barrel Gaming have been talking about for quite some time is We Happy Few developer Compulsion Games. Now, the reason for my deduction regarding the quote that I just read to you from Ben is an interview with Phil Spencer that I pulled from Game Rant on October 26th of 2020. Now, we talked about this quite a few months ago. Here is what Phil Spencer had to say about Compulsion Games' new IP. Looking at what they're going to do next, I love their ability to create new worlds and unique settings. That is always something that is fun. So without saying too much, that is one of them. Now, the quote that I pulled is, he was asked in this interview with Game Rant, give us the two games, give us one game that you are excited for that has not been announced to the public. At the time, he named two of the developers, two of the 23. The first one, believe it or not, was Compulsion Games' new IP, which is rumored to be a cross between BioShock meets Uncharted. And it's supposed to be a third-person, over-the-shoulder, action, adult-themed type of game that has horror elements. Check yes, check yes, check yes for boom. Okay? Now, I have to now bring the panel into the conversation. With Xbox Game Studios currently housing 23 teams and 23 studios and 35 plus teams, what developer and or game are you most excited to play day one in Xbox Game Pass? I want to go to Jamie first on this because he is our guest. What do you say to that, Jamie?
I mean, the thing I'm looking forward to most probably is Avowed.
Okay.
But like, you know, out of all the stuff we don't know, like, we always hear about these surprising games that they have in development. The thing is, when you look at Microsoft now as opposed to like 5 years ago, they could have anything in the works. You know, Microsoft have an Indiana Jones game in development. No one could have predicted that. You know, they were able to have a dragon-based game with IO Interactive. But I think the We Happy Few developer game, that one makes more sense. It's been probably long enough for them to actually get the game out, or, you know, further long enough to get a trailer out. And it has been rumored to be a third-person game for a while. But, you know, the BioShock type elements. And considering we don't get a lot of BioShock style games, to me, that interests me the most, because, like, We Happy Few, like, they showed us they can make really interesting worlds. And if they can give us something like that, you know, with third person and maybe, you know, a bit of sci-fi or steampunk or something, you know, I'm all for it. And the exciting thing about this E3 is that they can literally show us anything. You know, last year was a bit weird because we didn't get an E3, but this year it sounds like Microsoft are going to make up for it. Honestly, yeah, I'm excited for everything coming, but I think the We Happy Few developer game is going to be a big one.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I'm very excited because one of the questions that I have always heard from the community, everyone has been asking for a game that's similar to what is done on PlayStation, right? That over-the-shoulder, story-driven, adult-themed, graphical, intense type of game. And when you start hearing people talking about, like Phil Spencer, listen, I understand he's biased, folks. He's the head of Xbox. Of course, he's going to be excited for what's coming out. But when he's asked a question that is as a broad stroke as it was, and they're asking him for his his what game he's most excited about that we don't know about, and he picks the small sophomore developer like the We Happy Food developers, Compulsion Games. You gotta get excited. And speaking of PlayStation, well, Joe, welcome to the program, brother. How the heck are you feeling?
Dude, I am doing great. Thank you for having me. But I got to tell you something. Right off the bat. What I'm more happy about than just talking Xbox today with you guys is seeing Archimedes here, man.
Yes. Well, take a minute to speak on that, brother, because we welcomed him back. I didn't know he was on a respirator, and he was, and that's terrifying.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got well, man. I'm so glad that you're getting back on track, man. I try to give you a lot of confidence as much as I could, but when you said you were going to the hospital the second time, I got a little worried, a little concernicus. So I am very happy that you're here today, and I'm happy that you're doing good.
Thank you so much, man. I've said it in the beginning of the show, but I have to say it again. It was really, really super scary to go through all of that, especially when you go to the hospital for the second time and they put you on, what's the English word? Boom, respirator. Respirator. Yeah. You're in a room with a guy who has been in. My roommate in the hospital was in there for 6 weeks, and Jesus. I got really scared. He also had COVID. It was the whole station was just COVID patient, and I was really scared. But seeing the community really talk to me, I've got like 50 DMs a day with well wishes and stuff that really kept me or helped me a lot, because I was so lonely in the hospital because you were not allowed to get any visitors at all. And you, Joe, you have been supportive from day one. You've sent me all the advice that you had when you went through COVID with the breathing exercises and everything. And this is so much appreciated. I can't thank you and the community enough.
Of course, anything. Listen, when you've been through it, man, you get it. It's literally hell on earth, and I give that message to everybody that's like, oh shit, I got it, and it's literally the first thing I drop everything I can do to any help that I could. And I'm just, dude, I'm so glad you're okay, and I'm so happy to see the community, welcome you back the way they have. It's very heartwarming to see, man. It really puts everything into perspective when we're talking about video games and stuff and what companies doing what and what companies doing not. All small potatoes, of course, because it's about the entertainment. It's about bringing everybody together, and it's because shows like this exist is that we're able to have that little bit of escapism. So again, man, I'm so thrilled to see that you're all right, man.
Yeah, well, Joe, thank you for, of course, being here. Thank you for the well wishes to our mate that's back here, and obviously this is a family, right? This is an extension of our family, and of course we all care for one another. So it's good that Archimedes is back. But Joe, I want to bring you into the conversation,
sure,
because we have a report from head of the Xbox. Let me get his head of gaming services, Ben Decker. He talked about Xbox Game Pass, about how they can deliver games day and date. But what he said was that they have an unannounced game that, and his quote is, will blow your minds. Now, he didn't say who was making it. He didn't say what the new IP is, but I have a quote here from Phil Spencer that I'll read again just to get your opinion on this. And this is what Phil Spencer had to say about Compulsion Games' new IP, which is supposed to be Uncharted meets BioShock. Looking at what they're doing next, I love their ability to create new worlds and unique settings. That is always something that is fun. So without saying too much, that's one of them. And that he was referring to an interview with Game Rant. They asked him, what is the one game that has not been announced to the public are you most excited about? And he says, well, can I give you two? And the first one was Perfect Dark, which at that time wasn't announced. And before he even mentioned the initiative. He talked about Compulsion Games, which has me excited. Now, when talking about Xbox Game Pass of unannounced titles, do you think that this could be the game that he is referring to that has everyone at Xbox excited?
I'm hoping it is, man, because I think Compulsion needs a bit of a win. And first, when we talk about like Game Pass, a little bit of breaking news: Dark Alliance, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance is coming to Game Pass June 22nd, which is great because that game I would not have tried out.
Father.
Well, you gotta cancel that pre-order, boom. It's on Game Pass. It's great because it's a game I would have probably looked past, and now that it's there, yeah, I'm definitely gonna try this out.
Let me tell you about that game.
Okay,
Mrs. Boomstick and I. There are 4 games. Well, actually, there's 5. There are 5 games that we played when we were very early in the dating game, and then of course very early in the marriage. 4 of those games, 2 of which were on PlayStation 2, called Champions of Norath. Loved them. They're Diablo-style games. But the 2 other games that we played, and we have played them on the PlayStation 2 as well, was Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. And my God, all I can say is that I purchased it. We're ready to rock and roll whenever it comes out, because if you like Diablo style games, they did a lot of work. These are just not simple ports. They look really, really good. I cannot wait to start playing. So yeah, I'm gonna have to cancel that pre-order and wait for Game Pass. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. And when I think about the Compulsion game, I do think too, and it's a little bit of it is recency bias, but I do think about Returnal a lot in terms of like BioShock. Like, what was it? Something meets BioShock. What was that other thing?
It was Uncharted meets BioShock.
Uncharted meets BioShock.
Yeah.
I really dig when games give us those little voice recorders to listen to.
Me too.
It's the thing that helps fill out the world in a game like Returnal or like BioShock, where you are really walking through an environment that you're unfamiliar with, and you're getting that familiarity in pieces. And rather than you walking into a cutscene, which, like, you know, Resident Evil Village does quite a few times, where it's like, all right, here's an exposition dump for you, and here's what we're doing, and here's our master plan. You get that, you know, you get the characters' intentions, their motivations littered throughout these little audio logs. And so, like, when I'm thinking of Compulsion, I am thinking of We Happy Few, for better or for worse. It is a game that is supposed to mess with your psyche a little bit, if I'm remembering it correctly, and really is supposed to be there to question your moves as you go through it. So what better way than having an action adventure game in the style of like a modern day Tomb Raider or modern day Uncharted, where you are going through a world that is, you know, something with something you don't quite understand. There's something unnerving by. You know, I don't want like a BioWare bash and ran game, as much as I love that game for that. I want it to mess with my psyche in different ways. Give me a different type of dystopia. Give me a different way that you're teasing me. Because I think only BioWare can make such critiques on American exceptionalism. And I think what Compulsion can do, if given the right amount of time and funding, is talk to us about the psyche and about our, you know, psychosis in interesting ways. I think that's what this game could really be. I think when we take a look back and, you know, something like Uncharted, we say Uncharted because that's what we know. Right. You know, we can conceptualize it. I would like something that is playing with me on a psychedelic way, that is, yeah, you going through these environments and learning and picking up the pieces of what whatever dystopian world is going to be. That be it. That's what I want to see. Game Pass, I think, because they mention it a lot, it gives developers that creative freedom to be weird. And I think Compulsion was weird when they made We Happy Few, but I also think was bogged down by its budget and what it was able to do.
Yes. Well, so, they were small. I mean, they were probably robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Exactly. So like while he was mugging Peter, I bet they were like, we really wanted to do something with this story. Give me your goddamn lunch money. And or gosh darn. So like, it's something that I want to see these guys these group of people do, because I really think they could do it if given the budget. I want to see more weird from Xbox. If Game Pass adds freedom, let's get weird and let's explore things that games usually can't or won't explore because of the sake of, oh, this needs to be a triple A, big, huge title, and it needs to appease everybody. Give me games. I just was talking about this on the Dual Sense podcast. Is give me games that it's not here to please everyone. Give me games that are going to please a strong section of folks. It's what makes games like Bloodborne so great. It knows exactly what it is, and it's not trying to make you happy. It's trying to make what they think their fans would like happy. That's what I want to see Game Pass do, because I think that's where you're going to see the most success.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I think you're right. I think the freedom that's allotted with Xbox Game Pass also gives Microsoft the ability to tell their developers, "Hey, you know what? Go crazy, because we're not looking to sell 1 million of these, but we're looking to add good content to get people into the service." And again, I say this, and T-shirts are coming. Not every game is for every gamer, but you'll be surprised what you'll play if you're not forking up money like $30 or $40 for a title you're unsure about. You just go to Game Pass and you download it, and oh, I love this. I didn't realize I was going to love it, or I don't like this. I'm glad I didn't buy it.
And exactly. And I think like, I think when we take a look, a great example is like Dungeons and Dragons. What I just say, I would probably not have picked this game up. Now that it's on Game Pass, I'm going to be trying it out. And I think that's the ultimate compliment that you can give, is like, this is something I would not have picked up, whether it was the quality was in question or the genre is in question. Game Pass eliminates those barriers, which is really awesome. Game Pass is about that value per dollar, and they're doing a really good job at showcasing games that may be overlooked otherwise. This is awesome. Yeah.
You know what? And I'm very excited. Boxer Bear, before I get you into the conversation, I want to shout out Third Encounter in the chat. I'm going to throw it up there. He says, "Boom, big fan of the show, man. It's be awesome to talk games with you guys one day. I don't personally have the equipment to do shows like yours, but engaging conversation you have are admirable." But listen, dude, you don't need a lot of equipment. All you need is a microphone and a working pair of headphones and a decent PC. And if you can get those things, brother, we will bring you on this show and have you guest appear one day. Hit me up in a DM and let me know. We'll talk one-on-one. And I'm all about giving people opportunities. It was done to me by Mooch many moons ago. I'm always going to be very grateful for the opportunity. And here we are. I have a network, folks. I have a network of shows that just started out as me asking Mooch, can I guest appear just to check off that bucket list and say, I was on a podcast and I talked about video games. And look, here we are. We are networked with Double Barrel Gaming. So it can happen. And brother, hit me up in a DM and we will talk for sure. But Boxer Bear, let's get your opinion on this. Listen, what excites me about this conversation isn't so much that Ben Decker says that, all day and day Game Pass. We kind of know that. I start to get excited when you start hearing people outside of Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg and Matt Booty and Major Nelson saying that there's a particular game that's in active development that when you see it is going to blow your mind, because that starts to get me excited. When you start hearing people outside of the inner circle that we know as Xbox quote unquote guys, and you start hearing people like a Ben Decker talk about this, my blood starts to pump and get excited. What are your thoughts on what he's talking about? And could it potentially be, because we do know a lot of what's going on at Xbox, there's a lot we don't know, but this one game is getting some buzz from a lot of the internal Xbox people that are of the know of what's going on. What are your thoughts, Boxer Bear?
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you. We know the usual folks from the executive ranks of Microsoft that hype up stuff, the Aaron Greenbergs, the Major Nelsons, the Phil Spencer, and so on. I've never heard of this guy before. And seeing that other executives feel confident enough to just go out and say, well, we have a game in development that is going to blow your mind. And this wasn't particularly a special part of the interview. This was more on a side note. So it makes it more authentic to me. Yeah, it has me really excited. The game he's probably talking about is, if you ask me, Starfield, because Starfield hasn't been revealed. We only know the name of the game, and that's it. And I think a lot of executives have that lineup that they have coming in the next 10 to 12 months in mind right now. And the big one there is obviously Starfield, that hasn't been announced so far. Could also be, of course, the Forza franchise, the Compulsion game. We know a ton of games are in the making at Bethesda. We know Obsidian has 2 unannounced games in the making. So it could be a lot of things. But typically when you are starting to enter the gaming show season, yeah, which we are about to start. We start with E3, then we have the Jeff Keighley summer event, then we have Gamescom, then we have the Game Awards at the end of the year. So the season of gaming shows is just about to start, and then the executives usually have in mind what they will announce in like 3-4 weeks. And so that's what I'm thinking, what he was talking about. But nevertheless, the Compulsion game, as you mentioned, is something. It could be this Trojan horse. Yeah,
Yes.
Nobody has it on their radar. And Compulsion is, for me, the typical studio that benefits from such an acquisition. They were a talented studio. They made a fantastic game with Contrast. I played that back in the days when it launched on the PS4. It was fantastic. A small game, a super small game, but very well done. They brought out We Happy Few. We Happy Few was a good game. It had some really, really good ideas, but you could really tell that the lack of funding held it back. This is what you could really tell across all the entire game. But the talent is there, and now they have the proper funding, the time, the platform to actually give their game a chance with Game Pass. Definitely something we should all keep in mind. But my personal feeling is that we won't hear about the Compulsion game at E3. I'm not sure if we hear about that game even this year, because Microsoft has so many games that will come out over the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And they will try to focus their E3 event and all the gaming shows afterwards on these kind of games. Yeah, we know about Halo, of course, coming, Starfield, I just mentioned. We have Forza Horizon, then we have Crossfire X, all these games, Psychonauts 2.
Dude, there are so many games coming out for Xbox right now that it's almost a shame games like Resident Evil and Mass Effect Trilogy are going to be out, because that's going to be taking up a lot of our time.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's bananas.
I got no more
crazy.
time left, guys.
Oh, it's going to be
stuff to do.
be a problem eventually. Yeah, and then they already have announced a ton of games that they have not shown. Yeah, I'm talking, of course, about Avowed, Fable, Forza Motorsport, State of Decay 3. They have so many games already announced that they have not shown. And I think before they announce the new games like the Compulsion game, or like a bunch of games that are in the works at the Bethesda studios, I think they will first properly show off those games that they have already announced, show a little bit of gameplay for Fable or Hellblade or a Perfect Dark or whatever. Yeah, that's just what I think, because they have to plan now really out their strategy on when to reveal which games. And is it really necessary to reveal a game like the Compulsion game right now? They could hype the entire gaming world by just showing Forza Horizon 5, Halo gameplay. They show Starfield, and they show a little bit for Hellblade 2 and a little bit for Fable. And the the gaming world goes crazy. And then they have the other shows coming up. I said it earlier, Gamescom, or at the end of the year, the Game Awards. Yeah, usually we get 1 or 2 big announcements at the Game Awards over the last years. Yeah, so they have a lot of other shows coming later. E3 next year, yeah, they also have to bring out a couple of new announcements there, and maybe they save those up for those kind of events. And now with E3, they just go in on the games that are coming out this year and the games that they have already announced.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, there is so much to announce, but one thing that we know for sure, it's probably it set the stage for what's going to be coming out this year. Last May, a lot of people walked away unsatisfied. I don't know how you did. I was so happy to see all these different games, like The Ascent and Tunic and so many of the smaller double A, single A, and indie games that are going to be coming out this year. It's just madness. You still have Scorn, you still have all of these smaller games that are being done in
Crossfire X from
Crossfire
Remedy.
X is from Remedy is another one.
2 we have coming.
Yeah.
And along with that, we get these 3 big bangers that we all assume: Starfield, Forza Horizon, and
September,
and
October, November, brother. That's what I'm saying. That's
exactly the Triforce, and that's so much to talk about, and to show those games properly off with gameplay. Yeah, we have the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and nobody talks about that. That's going to be huge.
This summer, yes.
Age of Empires 4, even though it might not be a day 1 console release, yeah, it's still a Microsoft game for the Xbox ecosystem, and yeah, so there is so much coming, and that's why I personally just think that when an executive like Mr. Decker says he's excited about the game, Jason Ronald said something similar when he was on the Iron Lord podcast, that his most anticipated game isn't even announced for this year. Yeah. So I think that they are probably referring to one of those games that will actually come out in the next 10 to 12 months. And Starfield is probably going to be the big one there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Let's get 3-Bit in on the conversation. 3-Bit, what are your thoughts on what Ben Decker had to say about the next game, that one of the games that has not been announced will blow your mind? What do you think that is? Who do you think is making it? And what are your thoughts, brother?
Well, first off, you guys all had amazing points. Even Mr. Badbit, he was saying like how Game Pass can mitigate risk, and developers are able to essentially tell their vision rather than what's popular. And I think a lot of you guys bring up good points about it potentially being a compulsion game that is the unannounced game, or maybe a Bethesda title. I think Compulsion definitely has potential, as some of the panels bring up, and an Uncharted mixed with BioShock. Just me thinking about that concept is really cool. I think when I think of that, I think of the verticality and movement sets provided when traversing the environments in Uncharted, but with the setting and the world of BioShock, as it's apparently a rumored third-person game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
That has actually been confirmed by Compulsion. That's the only thing that they said when they were on the Iron Lord podcast.
Yeah, that it is a third person.
It's a third person action game. Yeah.
Okay, so a third-person action game from them. I think if you guys have played We Happy Few, it was kind of like an open world game. It was sort of segmented into these different parts, and you are kind of going through the environment, sort of like the Obsidian game with the spaceship, Outer Worlds. It kind of reminded me of Outer Worlds sometimes in certain aspects. But the story and the setting and the world of that they were building there had so much potential. I just think at the time they didn't have the budget to really push it to where they want, because at first it was a Kickstarter game, if I'm not mistaken, and then it was later published by
Gearbox, I believe.
Okay, yeah, Gearbox. And I heard that wasn't the best deal they had with each other. So now they have the budget, now they have the time, And with Game Pass being a thing, people are going to be able to try this thing out, and I think it'll be a hit, whatever they are working on. But we'll see. They definitely have some talent over there, and if for the games I'm looking forward to, let's obviously just put Halo aside because everyone knows I'm really excited for that. I think people are going to be really surprised by Avowed.
Oh yeah.
Obsidian creates games really fast. I don't think it's going to come out maybe not this year, but the teams they got going on at Obsidian, where they are able to just try different things like Grounded and stuff like that, where they're just able to have a side team work on something, and maybe they're working on another little side game. Is amazing, especially in that's where Game Pass has come into play, because you're definitely mitigating risks, and these teams can sort of branch off and just try things and see if it works. If it doesn't, then okay. But it is amazing that they're able to even do a game like Grounded, and look at that game is constantly just going up on the Steam charts. There's a couple games on Steam where it's just hitting the top 5, and most of them are like Xbox games, which is really cool. Like Sea of Thieves is constantly just doing very well. But I'm excited to see what Obsidian has to offer. The second that, and of course Hellblade 2. I know that's not an unannounced game, but like I gotta mention it. The technology Ninja Theory is bringing to the table is definitely like industry defining, and definitely has some of the best mocap performances I've seen in the first game. So I'm just looking forward to checking that out. And also they have like their side games. Ninja Theory is working on, so maybe we'll see that at E3. But yeah, Compulsion is definitely working on stuff. I think people are also going to be forgetting that Scorn and Crossfire X are going to be coming out this year, and the Gunk. Looking forward to that game. So yeah, it's going to be a good year for Xbox.
Yeah, I absolutely, and a good year for Xbox Game Pass subscribers, which I think is going to keep going up, because obviously they're going to have so many games going in there that at some point it's going to be hard to deny. Like, it's literally going to be hard to not want to plop down the $15, even if you're not getting it for a deal, because quite frankly, all of the games that are going to be in there. I mean, I think that they have upwards of 20 titles releasing that have been talked about in prior shows in the remainder of 2021 in the last 7 months, and that is insane. We're really going to have a tremendous amount of bang for your buck, so to speak. I do want to move on to the next topic now. I did change the Game Pass conversation as it being the industry standard, because I think it has become.
Did we get Jamie? Did we get Jamie?
I think we did. Jamie, did we get? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going crazy. Don't worry about me.
No, that's okay. I'm glad you don't feel ashamed to sort me out if I miss something, because we got to make sure everyone talks. But I gotta talk, folks, about the Coalition for a hot second, because they have made news in the last couple of days, and a story that I have here is going to be extremely exciting. Now, the Coalition's new IP that they're working on is reportedly to be a smaller experimental game. And according to a story that I pulled from the pages of GameRant.com, the veteran Xbox first-party studio is using the new project to familiarize themselves with Unreal Engine 5. Now, before we go any further, folks, as confirmed by Gears of War community manager TC Kilo, in no uncertain terms, are we currently working on a new Star Wars game? So yeah, that is the bummer part of it, and I have it in my show notes where I write it. That's a shame, because I think that they would just kill it. And here was what what TC Kilo had to say regarding the subject matter that we just discussed. Just to clarify, regarding the Star Wars thing, we are not working on any such title. We have nothing else to announce at this time. It's short and sweet, and of course, I still wish that they work on a Star Wars title, but here we go, folks. The question is this: recently, the Gears of War studio, the Coalition, confirmed that they were going to be using the next-gen Unreal Engine 5 for future projects, which of course includes Gears of War 6, which according to numerous sources is years away. Now, I'm not sure why that is. Are they doing a soft reboot of the franchise? Are they doing a bigger open world? Are they scrapping an open world? Are we going back to close quarters? No one really knows. But obviously, this comes on the heels of of numerous reports that emerged that the Coalition was in fact working on Gear 6, and they are. That is what they're currently working on, but they are working on this smaller project. Now, we get this new information from friend of the show and friend of the community, Jeff Grubb, who provided potential details on what the new project will be. Now, obviously, he was speaking on the new podcast that was created and published by Colt Eastwood. And Grubb had to say that the new IP that the Coalition is working on is going to be a smaller, more experimental project. The purpose of the project, Grubb says, is for the studio to familiarize itself with Unreal Engine 5 and learn its ins and outs during the course of the development. Now, according to him, even though this new game is going to take some time to develop, which is understandable since the Coalition is shifting its pipelines to a whole other engine, meaning that they're moving from Unreal Engine 4 to now Unreal Engine 5 full time. It says the Coalition. Okay, it says once the studio is accustomed to Unreal Engine 5, it will move back to Gears of War in full and begin work on Gears 6 in earnest. Boxer Bear, I want to go to you first on this. Listen, the Coalition is a very talented team. We know that they have a big studio. For you, knowing that they're going to be doing this smaller project, which we don't know what it is. I mean, is it a new IP? Is it Gears 2 that they're going to be redoing in Unreal Engine 5? That's what a lot of people are starting to say and hoping for. Are you disappointed that they're not working on the rumored Star Wars game, which, again, was supposed to potentially be The Mandalorian?
Well, see, my problem with this Star Wars smaller game rumor thing is 1 week before Jeff was on the podcast from Colt Eastwood, we got that Star Wars rumor also coming from Jeff Grubb.
Yes.
So I'm not saying I really like the guy, and I know that he has a lot of sources and a lot of websites take his statement sometimes a little bit out of context to create clickbait headlines. But what really happened is we got a lot of people reporting that Jeff Grubb teased a Star Wars game coming from the Coalition, and 5-6 days later we get the headlines, the Coalition is working on a smaller side project, rumor coming from Jeff Grubb. So people should really start to listen what he actually said. And that's why I'm not really disappointed, because his Star Wars statement was completely taken out of context. This was him speculating. He said after seeing that Microsoft with the Bethesda studio has a collaboration with the Indiana Jones franchise and Lucasfilms there, he could see that they go, for instance, out and provide them with the license for a Star Wars game to make a new game. It was a little bit out of context how the headlines were written. He didn't confirm or put the rumor out. It was his speculation. Nevertheless, I'm glad to see that the Coalition is moving over to Unreal Engine 5. I mean, this doesn't come as a surprise. I'm actually surprised that they just started to move over now, that they haven't done that a little bit earlier. But you never know how the progress in the Unreal Engine 5 development actually was. Yeah, COVID also infected those guys at Epic. So yeah, that's great. And I'm glad that they are working on a project, may it be a bigger or a smaller project. I like that they get the creative freedom to create their own new IP. Because if you all remember, before they were the Coalition, when they were called Black Tusk, they announced at E3 an espionage game. A game that reminded me of Splinter Cell. We all got those. I forgot the name of the game, but it was we got a trailer that reminded everyone of Splinter Cell. So And then they were given the Gears IP, and they renamed themselves to the Coalition. And having Rob Ferguson in as a studio head, he really did a great job of not just delivering two of the best games from the last generation on the Xbox platform. Gears 4 and 5 were absolutely fantastic. He delivered them on time. Yeah, in a 3-year development cycle, both games, and they were super high quality. So the Coalition is obviously a very well organized and very well structured studio, and for them to see now to branch out, do new things, may it be a big game, maybe a smaller game, may it be a Star Wars game or not, whatever they do, it's great that they get the creative freedom to fulfill their visions for a new video game outside of the Gears franchise. And that doesn't mean that they will neglect the Gears franchise. Gears is still a super important IP for Xbox. But now with all these 23 studios, Xbox can really afford to give them a little bit more time to take the Coalition out of that 3-year development cycle for a new Gears game. Make it a 4, maybe even a 5-year development cycle, and that makes me happy to see. So that they can really leverage all the power that is in the Unreal Engine 5, because we know that there is a ton of technology in the Unreal Engine 5, and it takes time to learn how to use it, to adapt to the new hardware. And so I'm excited to see what the Coalition can and will do now with the extra team and with the other game and the Unreal Engine 5, of course.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, and I agree. You know, but I kind of want to go. I'm walking down this path, right? And the path says Coalition, right? And to the left says no Star Wars. So I want to go start walking down the path which leads to my favorite place. Pong Soul, I know you're in the chat, brother. You know what I'm about to say. We're gonna go to head into speculation town, right? There's unicorns, there's rainbows, it's 70 and sunny, and you know what? There's cotton candy machines on every corner, and you don't have to pay anything. So, Elusive Gamer, I want to go to you next because I have a running theory. One of the things I have in the notes here that I kind of want to bring up is this. The Coalition is looking to change everything over to the Unreal Engine 5, right? That is known, that is confirmed by everyone over at the team, right? They even posted on Twitter, we are moving all of our current productions now over to Unreal Engine 5 full time. So here is where I get a little I start to do a little speculation. What I'm wondering, and I want to get your opinion on this. They said it. They flat out said, we are not working on a Star Wars game. So we're going to move Star Wars off the table. But is it possible that this quote unquote smaller experience that is so they can familiarize themselves with Unreal Engine 5 to then work on Gear 6? Could this small project potentially be something similar to Bungie's Halo ODST, but within the Gears universe? What are your thoughts to that?
I mean, I just want to talk about the whole Star Wars thing first. I'd be lying if I say I didn't make thumbnails ready for this story. But when I found out it wasn't true, I was like, well, that time's gone to waste. But I think it could be something like that because, you know, we saw with Gears 5 Hivebusters that they can make these very condensed, you know, Gears experiences. And the reaction from, you know, Hivebusters, people loved it. I loved it. And it seems like more people want more of that. And, you know, an ODST, you know, standalone, like smaller experience. Yeah, that totally makes sense. You have to move everything to, you know, Unreal Engine 5. You have to get familiar with it. And you have to think about like this. It's only been about 20 months since Gears 5 launched. So, like, I wasn't expecting this anytime soon, like the next Gears game. So, like, that was always going to be ways out. But a smaller style like ODST thing, yeah, that totally makes sense because, you know, they're familiar with Unreal Engine 4, they're familiar with, you know, all the assets and how the engine works, and obviously Unreal Engine 5 is going to work a bit like Unreal Engine 4, so they can transfer some of that experience over. Yeah, I could totally see that happening. And I know when some people hear this, you know, smaller experience thing, some people freak out. The truth is, they just have to make a good game. Like that's all it has to be. It doesn't matter if it's single A, double A, indie, whatever. Like it just has to be good. Like I don't really care at the end of the day how many A's are slapped on the box. If it's a good game, it's a good game. And the Coalition have proven they can make good games. Like people freaked out with how different the story was with Gears 5. I thought Gears 5 was bloody brilliant. Moving the game.
It was my game. It was close to my game of the year. It came in like second for me. I think that it was almost a travesty of just that did not get the accolades it deserved.
Absolutely. Gears 5 was so great. I was really surprised about the feedback out of the community when it came out, because they always said Gears is always the same. That was always what they said about Gears. And now they tried something new with these open areas and side quests. And then people started to say, yeah, that's not Gears anymore. And so, Gears 5 was fantastic. And I really hope or can't wait to see where they take Gears 6.
Gears has always been a linear experience. Always has been. And then with Gears 5, it was hub world design, and that design never gets used, not often anymore. It's either open world or linear.
Right.
And it was fresh. It was fresh for the IP, and a lot of people seem to enjoy it. And like when they say a smaller experience, you have to think about Gears 5. That's a bloody big game. Like it really is. So like it could, when you say ODST, small, I'm doing air quotes. I can totally say that, because again, people like Gears. People want more Gears. And Gears is one of those experiences and universes where they can take the story wherever. We got a turn-based tactical game last year, and they can literally do anything with it now. They could go RPG. They could go first-person shooter. They can literally go anywhere with this. And I think the reception will be positive because people love Gears, and Gears is essential to Xbox.
I absolutely agree, Joe. I want to bring you into the conversation, but I'm really going to the dark alleys.
Oh, the dark alleys
of Speculation Town.
Oh,
you usually don't come back from these. I just want you to know.
So don't come back from this.
I'm going to take this. I'm going to really. This. Some people consider this crazy town. Okay, so here's my thought theory that just popped into my head, and I love when this happens when I'm doing a live show, because I spend a lot of time writing the show notes, and then I miss something that doesn't make any sense, and then we're talking about stuff, and now here it comes. What if the smaller Gears experience is first person?
Ooh.
What if they decided to really throw a monkey wrench into the conversation and say, "Oh, you want a different Gears? Well, as we learn Unreal Engine 5, we're going to give you a different Gears, and you get a first-person chainsawing people."
Dude,
what do you think?
Okay. All right, real talk. Let's get lit. Let's get real for a second.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Town. But you take me back to this dark alley. Usually horrible things happen there. Usually you become an orphan. Whatever have you falls to the floor. But I'm digging this. So in actuality, I first off, I'm going to play around with this first and foremost. I think that it sounds really cool. If the game that I'm thinking about is a game that you and I both love, and that is Star Wars Republic Commando.
Yeah,
give me the Republic Commando vibes with Gears of War.
Oh, now you're talking.
I think actually that could be something really awesome. You give me a squad-based first-person shooter in the Gears universe, it could really lend itself well to like the survival horror like elements that they play around with in Gears sometime. I think that could be really, really cool. What I do think in actuality, what it could be is something that I'll steal from Luke Lore, because he's a big piece of garbage, you know it.
Poor Luke Lore.
Yeah, I think when Jeff Grubb's saying small, I don't really think that means new. So like I don't necessarily think we're getting like a Hive Busters 2 or like, I would love to see a survival horror game in the Gears universe for sure. I actually think that this may be them testing out its the Unreal Engine 5 of warming up to that engine and creating things in that engine, and possibly importing things to that engine, and really learning from it while at the same time making a profit off of it. So I do think that Luke Lore's onto something for realsies when I say it. And Jeff Grubb says it's small. This is a Gears of War 2 remake.
I was thinking that too. I saw that
Yeah.
tweet. I actually commented. I told him, please don't give me hope.
I definitely think, not definitely, I very much think that may be the case. There's a lot of nostalgia there, and although it's on Game Pass and it's got the FPS boost probably and all that, I do think it's a great way to test that team's abilities with that engine, and also at the same exact time give that game a little bit more of a polish, more of a sheen, and give it another run for people to familiarize themselves with Gears, similar to that of like you see with the Master Chief Collection. So I think making a Gears 2 remake makes sense more than like a Last of Us remake, right? I remember the first time when they remastered Last of Us, they were like, we're doing this because A, not a lot of PS4 users actually have played The Last of Us, and B, this is testing the team's knowledge on the new engine and the new system for the PlayStation 4. So I think we're going to see that before the Xbox Series with the Coalition. And I do think their last Gears game is Gears 6. I think Gears 6 is going to Gears has a hard thing to balance because it's similar to Halo in so many regards. Like you see Halo and it's like there's half of the community that wants Sprint, there's half of the community that doesn't, and they're all angry at each other all the time. It's similar to Gears. I don't think there's been a Gears of War that have captured the magic of Gears since I think Gears 3. I love the sequel trilogy. You guys know I'm a big fan of Gears. It's one of the games that I poured the most hours into. It's a series that I love, but I think there is some truth that I don't necessarily believe in because I bought into the Gears mythos, that there's something about the sequel trilogy of Gears that runs parallel with Star Wars. The Star Wars sequel trilogy said they just don't capture the same magic that the originals did. So I think the open world concept was an okay concept. I think what Gears fans truly want out of that that single player experience is something more akin to survival horror. I really do think they want, Gears 1 where you go into the emotion mine.
Dude, me and my brother still play that from time to time. That particular
gives
mission,
you goosebumps, right?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yes.
Seeing God, the ones that like hop around, I forget all their names, but seeing them for the first time in the shadows that they play with, I think that's what Gears fans really want. I think they want overwhelming odds that they feel a sense of accomplishment when they overcome them. And this thing that they are outmanned, outgunned, but still come out ahead. I think it's also something that even the commercials do as well, give you that sense of all hope is lost. So I think that's what I would like to see, the magic of Gears come back. It's cool that they played around with like fascism and all that stuff, but like I really like to see these creepy crawlies really be creepy crawly. I would like to see that alien-esque fear that the first game did, and even the Gears 4 original trailer did. So yeah, that's what I think. I think this is a much smaller concept. I do think this is them learning from that engine, but either way, even if it's a Gears 2 remake, that's not like a bad thing. Because Gears 2 is legitimately great. And if you just put like server-based matchmaking instead of peer-to-peer garbage, you're going to have a really fun time and you won't have host shotgun. So yeah, I'm all on board with it.
No, absolutely. Boxer Bear, have we gotten your opinion on this yet or no?
Yeah, we had.
We had. Okay. Yeah, that's
3-bit.
right. So
3-bit is left.
3-bit. I want to throw something out to you, 3-bit. I want to see where you take this. So stand by a second. There are a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, including myself, that have been calling for a Marcus Phoenix collection. Now, we know that the Gears 1, Gears of War, was redone, and it's a masterpiece. being that Luke Lore, who is not a piece of crap, according to Joe. I love Luke Lore.
Are we still in the alleyway?
Yeah, we're still in the alleyway. We're slowly backing up.
Oh, everybody's booing at the sentiment of you not calling Luke garbage. Everybody, back off. There's an angry mob forming at the back of the alley.
Poor Luke Lore.
You gotta.
When he gets a summer break, we got to get him back on
everyone,
the show.
don't worry. He's just kidding. It's just to gain his trust so that we can let him down and shame him. Okay, I settled down the crowd.
All right, excellent. Thank you for settling down that mob. What if Joe is onto something? And what if Luke Lore is onto something and what if it's not just Gears 2? What if they're going to take the small project that is with an S that they haven't told us has, and they remake Gears 2 and 3 in Unreal Engine 5 to release a collection based on Marcus Phoenix? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not disappointed about them not working on a Halo. Or not a Halo. Some type of Star Wars, right? I think those rumors are correct, just not where people are looking. And I'm not disappointed. I think I'm fascinated by the prospect of them potentially working on a newer IP. If I think a Marcus Phoenix would be great, like a Marcus Phoenix collection. I think if you really want to like test out your ability to work on the Unreal Engine 5, but also innovate your Gear 6, it does make sense to go back and look at games that were on the older Unreal games.
Yes.
The older Unreal Engine titles like Unreal Engine 4, or I think Gears 3 was even Unreal 3 or something like that. So you could go back and basically update those games to Unreal 5, and while you're doing that, you could just really pump up and learn a little bit more about the engine, because what Coalition does is they take the Unreal Engine and then they pretty much just add stuff to it. Like they're not just taking Unreal Engine out the box and just using it for their games. They're pretty much like they're kind of taking the Unreal Engine and modifying it to do what they want. They have some amazing engineers over there, and yes, that was a hit, Pong. I think with that being said, it could be a new IP. I think that'd be kind of cool. It's a way for people to see them try something new. Now, I do think I have to mention the fact that this game could be a spin-off, maybe. That's just another alleyway conversation, that it could be a some type of spin-off of Gears. That is a possibility. I do think they want to stay within the Gears universe regardless. If it's a first-person game, that I would be really excited for that. But I do think they want to stay in the Gears universe, as they stated multiple times how much they love the Gears franchise and how much it means to them. It's their baby, and before these rumors, I'd even compare them to a 343 who only produces Halo titles. But I do think that a Marcus Phoenix collection would be a good way for them to really showcase what the Unreal Engine 5 is capable of, and they could basically compare. I mean, us as the gamers can compare. Like, look at what Gears 3 used to look like, or Gears 2, and look what it looks like now. But they could really just go in and see what the differences are with the Unreal Engine 5 and how much they can push it to the limit. So that's pretty much what I think about from more of a developer point of view, I guess.
Well, I mean, listen, it's great to hang out in Speculation Town, because obviously you're not really held. This is just fun opinions. First of all, I gotta just tell somebody, hold on just a second. You know, Other Zinc in the chat. Listen, dude, I get that you're an Xbox guy, and you can't talk about PlayStation without ruffling your feathers, and you can't talk about Halo or Gears. He makes a comment in here that I have to address, because when you start attacking the panel, you are a click away from being banned from the show. That we'll never see anything from you, because I don't take this kind of shit from anybody. Okay, he says, and I quote, "This panel doesn't play Gears. If they did, the panel would know that Gears 5 adds something new in each month." Dude, we are not even talking about that. This is a speculative topic about what they could be doing in the small project. So this is what I tell you. Take a chill pill, because I am going to tell you this. I appreciate the support that you're here every day that I do a show. Never going to say that be disrespectful about that. What I will not sit here and allow is this kind of shit. Okay, if you don't like what we're saying, my best advice is unsubscribe to the channel and don't listen. But don't come with these comments, because what I'm going to do is now Lethal Papa is now going to be watching you, and when he sees this kind of stuff, he has my authority to ban you. And you know, all I could say is just take a chill pill. It's not that serious. It's games.
It's gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Stop being
gatekeeping. We never even said anything about that. Like Gears 5, I think we all agree on the panel that we think it's a fantastic game.
Yeah, it's my favorite. First off, others think it's my favorite Xbox game this generation. And I don't need to play it every single day to appreciate how amazing it is.
Thank you.
Gatekeeping games.
Yeah,
you're the reason why these games can't progress any further. So take a look inward and assess, my friend. Assess.
Yes. At the end of the day, it's all about games. We're supposed to come here to have fun, right? Okay.
It's games. We're one gas tank away from a Mad Max dystopian future. Have fun thinking about games, okay?
I love it. Well, you know what? Speaking of games, we're going to continue this incredible podcast. And folks, we're at almost 400 here. 400 in the middle of the day. If you're here, you're enjoying it. I was going to say, please hit the like button. Though I can assume that Others Inc. is not going to hit the like button, and that's fine too. You can hit the thumb down button. We're good. We're going to talk about games, and I want to talk about a game that a lot of people are excited about. Zemi Games, who is on the Tuesday Xbox Factor podcast, is not here to talk about this, and I know that he would be loving this particular topic. But in a story that I pulled from MSN.com, 12 minutes is a video game mystery in a miniature that repeats itself until you find the solution. Now, one of the most anticipated indie titles here at the Xbox Factor podcast is, in fact, 12 Minutes, and that is being developed by Luis Antonio. It's a one-man show and being published by Annapurna Interactive. Now, here is what Luis had to say about the new IP. It's an interactive thriller about a man trapped in a time loop. He gave a preview of the game to USA Today, which was pretty cool. You have to use the knowledge of what is about to happen to change the outcome and break that loop. As you play, you decide how you are going to interact. Your character is going to learn with everything that you do. Everything resets, but his knowledge stays. We're going for something like theater play. You're never going to see their faces, so there is a big focus on voice acting and animation, so that you believe these characters are alive. Now, according to the article, which of course I agree 1000%, the premise is scary, if simple. A husband and his wife sit down at the dinner table. There's a knock at the door, and an intruder claiming to be the police a police officer interrupts the evening, puts the couple in handcuffs, and claims that the wife is guilty of murder. Now, the characters, if you did not know about this game, are voiced by well-known actors. The intruder, voiced by the unbelievable William Dafoe. And obviously, he was in recently Zack Snyder's Justice League. The wife is voiced by Daisy Ridley, Star Wars episode, obviously Rise of Skywalker is the last movie that she made. And the husband is voiced by James McAvoy of X-Men. He played Professor X, which is, that's monster voice talent for an indie title. But, let's start with Boxer Bear here. What are your thoughts and excitements for one of 2021's most talked about indie titles?
Yeah, I mean, that game is such an interesting approach. I can't remember that we have seen any game that has this kind of gameplay loop. Yeah, having basically always the same room with your choice mattering which way the story goes, or what the outcome of the whole thing is super exciting. I'm still so surprised by how can a one-man show, a one-man studio, get such high valued voice actors.
Who knows?
Really, I don't know how the man did that, but if he can pull something like that off, I'm 100% convinced that the game will be actually super interesting to play. It is one of these rare games that we get where one guy just hits every note. The aesthetics look good, the story is intriguing, he even has the voice actors. There are rarely these games where a one-man show can hit these kind of notes. Bright Memory Infinite comes to mind, or Song of Iron, where one developer just seems to get everything right, and 12 minutes just looks like that kind of game, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, me too. And I agree. I'm right there with you, dude. Like, I have no idea who the creator of the game, who he actually knows to be able to get this kind of voice talent. I mean, it's incredible. And I honestly cannot wait to play. It's obviously one of my most anticipated games in the indie scene for sure. I mean, this goes right along with The Ascent and Tunic and a few other ones that are just are high caliber games that are being made by small teams. And this obviously, like Tunic, is a one-man show. It's incredible. Let me get Jamie Moran. Jamie, one of the biggest things I think have come out of last year's May show, as well as, of course, the July showcase. Now, the July showcase for last year, which was their E3, showed a lot of big AAA first-party games. But in these two shows, we got a chance to see a lot of smaller games. And one of the games that was shown was 12 Minutes. Now, we don't have a release date. In this interview, they didn't give us a release date, which is said. I think it's going to be a stealth drop. I think a lot of these games are going to be coming to us during E3. I think you're going to get some you're going to get some stealth drops, like, hey, listen, go play. It's in Game Pass right now. And I think that would be a great time to get everyone's eyes on these games, to be honest with you. So I'm looking forward to it. What are your thoughts on what we know about and what has been talked about with the director of the game for 12 Minutes?
Yeah, I've had my eye on this game a long time. It looks really interesting. The concept is pretty much like Groundhog Day, but in 12 minutes, which I really like. The cast, James McAvoy, Daisy Ridley, and Willem Dafoe. Like, I have no idea how such a small team, like one guy, got these people on board. So the premise alone must have been interesting enough. But yeah, I've been looking forward to this. I watched 2 minutes of gameplay yesterday. So for people not familiar, you have 12 minutes of gameplay that loops. So for instance, dude bursts through the front door and you get stabbed or tied up or whatever, and you can pick up all the other like objects in the room, so like a coffee cup, a knife, and you can interact the item with other people as well. So you can pick up the cup and give it to your wife and stuff. So in the scene, dude picked up a knife on the second go, locked himself in the bathroom, and then when the guy broke in, took the knife off him and stabbed him in the chest, and then the time looped again. It's just an interesting, indie game, and I like the fact that we're seeing more games like this, these really interesting indie games, because a lot of people think indie games are these 12-bit games. Like that's not how it is, but like it's a really interesting premise. And plus, I was even saying the other day on Twitter, like this does seem like something that will be an E3 day drop, because the developers have said multiple times it's coming soon, and even yesterday or the day before they said it's coming soon. It's like we're a month out from E3. Soon is pretty much going to be that. And plus, I don't know if it's been confirmed for Game Pass. I think it has. A lot of people are really interested in this game, and people want fresh experiences. So everything I've heard about this game, it looks like it's going to be a must play.
Yes, I absolutely. I think it's one of those games that has potential to become one of those indie darlings that everyone is talking about, like a Limbo, right? Like the game comes out of nowhere, and you're like, "Oh my god, this game is so good." Everyone is going to experience. See, what I'm interested about this game, Jamie, is that everyone is going to have a different way to tell their story because of how many different things you can actually do. Like, hey, we're going to be talking around the water cooler. Did you pick up the knife and stab the guy, or did you hit him over the head with a couch cushion? I don't know, but it's going to be different. And I think that in itself,
Imagine the person overhearing that conversation.
that would be kind of funny. Joe, let's bring you into the conversation.
Yeah.
Obviously, you appreciate artist-based titles, and that's what this seems to be. This is telling a tale of 12 minutes. It has not been done in gaming, so there's a potential for a new and unique way to to play a very storied adventure. What are your thoughts on what we know about 12 minutes?
Honestly, and I hate giving this human being credit. I don't even like to consider him a person, but like Luke Lore had a really great interview with the creator. I think a year back now. This game's been in development for a long time, so that's when this game was really put on my radar. But I gotta say, first off, the voice acting, awesome, right? Daisy Ridley is a phenomenal actress, a beautiful, punch me in the face. Who else was it? James McAvoy, an amazing actor.
William Dafoe, I mean,
William Dafoe, man, like he's on another level if you've seen The Lighthouse. And so like these are all awesome actors. I do like, and sometimes gives me a little worry, seeing actors on the Hollywood stage take parts in games, and it seems like the thing that I worry about is, of course, voice actors, because this is their bread and butter. But it really seems like actors are really going for these more indie-ish, like, hey, let's just be weird here. Like Bryce Dallas Howard is in Maquette, which is a pretty good puzzler, and it's her and her husband are the only dialogue in the game. You are sold by their connection just because of how they interact, because they already have that love for each other. And so like seeing Daisy Ridley, seeing James McAvoy, seeing Willem Dafoe, all of which are terrific, just behind this product is awesome to see. So you know that this is a story-based game, that you have these serious actors, some of which have some major accolades behind it. Is really cool that they're having neat ideas. Like I love seeing like Daisy Ridley go, you know what? I took the money from Star Wars. Let me just now get weird with my career. That's really awesome. Same with James McAvoy. Same with Willem Dafoe. And this game looks really interesting. It's something that like Annapurna is usually a developer or publisher rather, we don't see with Xbox. And so I really like seeing ID at Xbox really say, you know what, PlayStation and Nintendo get to be weird with their indie games. We need to start doing this with our indies as well, and getting the Xbox community accustomed to these games that are somewhat thought pieces. So like, I love seeing the braid elements in this game, but taken up to the nth degree. And when he says that this is like a 16-hour experience, I'm really interested to see how that plays out, because you're in that 12-minute time loop. How does the story progress? So I'm really interested to see what they got here. I'm hopefully this game is sooner rather than later, but yeah, I'm on board with this, man. This seems like it's going to be a really special game. So let's all hope for that. And Annapurna, again, an amazing publisher to get weird with.
Yeah, absolutely. And 3-bit. I'm glad I saved you for last, because I'm really interested to get your opinion on this. Obviously, you yourself have worked on indie titles. In fact, you work on indie artwork, as an artist. Where do you fall on your excitement level for 12 minutes, on how different it's going to be compared to many of the big AAA games that are going to be releasing later on in the year?
I think it has a amazing voice cast, and I'm wondering if this is a game where you learn the process on what to do as this dude breaks into your house, and constantly kills you, and you're like, okay, maybe he grabbed the glass, or maybe he grabbed the knife, so maybe I'll move this here, move that there. If it's like a learning process, And if it is a learning process, is it possible for you to beat the game in one go if you know what to do? Or does things sort of unlock over time as you die? That's just like a game feature. I'm wondering if it how it plays out essentially. And if you guys ever played Her Story, that's another one from Annapurna. The story was very like serpentine, and where the story you find is the story you're given sort of thing, where you sort of discover it, but there's not much hand holding there. um, this seems a little bit more linear in that regard, but you're also discovering it seems like you're discovering the story. I'm figuring out what this game is. I haven't seen the footage yet for the gameplay, but it seems very interesting. I love the concept for it. I think it has a lot of potential, and like in 12 minutes, you're figuring out how this dude's about to burst into your door, and you're basically trying to survive, not just yourself, but you and your significant other. So yeah, I love indie games. I love the creativity they can bring. Like you don't see a 343 working on this, right? It's not going to happen. So to have these little experiences here and there for indie games, it's very freeing. And in indie games like this, it does eventually, I think, cause a ripple effect for those bigger titles to experiment a little bit with. So yeah, it seems like a very psychological game, which I love those type of games, and it seems very like the very intense of a story. So I'm wondering where it's going to be headed. I have a feeling that there's a lot they're not showing for the purposes of you experiencing that for yourself, and that's a good thing. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, I put it this way. It's one of the games that is going to really use Game Pass to its advantage, because it's a game that a lot of people, because listen, let's call a spade here, folks. A lot of people shy away from the indie scene because they like these big AAA experiences, right? That's a confirmed fact. What I do appreciate even more about Game Pass is that it gives games like 12 Minutes, like Tunic, all of these smaller experiences that people may pass on because, quite frankly, there's a lot to play, especially if you support multiple consoles like Joe and I and many people on this panel do. It gives you, there are a lot of games to play. Sometimes we will miss out on some of the smaller titles. But you know what I like about Game Pass is that it gives the community the ability to try something like a 12 Minutes. I've tried games that I knew that I would have never tried without Game Pass. That's a fact, folks. So I think this is going to be big for Game Pass, but I think it's going to be big for the publisher and, more importantly, the developer. I'm not sure if this is his first game. I've never heard of Lewis before, so it might just be his first project. I'm happy to know that it's getting a lot of buzz. It's certainly getting buzz on this channel. Not a lot of channels are talking about it, and I wanted to do that here today. But I do want to move on to, of course, one of the big, I think this is the biggest topic, and we're going to be talking some Halo, folks. And obviously, why not? In a story that I pulled from WCCF Tech, Halo Infinite art teases new bosses, weapons, and vehicles. Plus, is there a new trailer likely to be coming soon? Well, considering that E3 is under a month away, I say yes. Now, the new information comes to us from Halo Waypoint, who showed off some cool but small looks into what we'll be seeing in the soft reboot of the Halo franchise known as Halo Infinite. And honestly, it got me super stoked. Now, for today's topic, the way I want to position this is we've talked a lot about Halo, more specifically Halo Infinite. But I'm interested to get both the panel and, more importantly, the public, the community, the 400 people that we have here in the chat. And here's my question to everyone. What does 343 Industries need to show at E3 2021's Microsoft conference with Halo Infinite? And here's my second question. Should the new trailer be a side-by-side viewing of where they are now and where they were last July, showing the new and improved graphics, physics, and gameplay, or should it be a new trailer altogether? Jamie Moran, you're our guest. I want to go to you first. Where do you think, first of all, this trailer is important for a lot of reasons. This is coming on the cusp of many people being disappointed with what happened in July. I wasn't one of those disappointed people. I quite enjoyed what they were doing. I'm in it for the gameplay, the graphics. Sure, they were maybe not next gen, but they were not terrible. Okay, they were sure there was some pop in. But for you, how do you answer these two questions, Jamie?
I mean, going back to last year, I thought the gameplay looked phenomenal.
Yes, me too. I agree.
So, like, people only had issues with like the visuals. So, like, they only had to fix that. And I think when it comes to E3, it's all about hype, all about positivity. I don't think showing the difference off of what they showed last year and showing this year would go down that well. I think they just have to go out and just show us a brand new trailer, brand new footage, new enemies, new everything. And that would get people hyped. And there's always this talk about what Halo needs to be. And I even saw the meme last week. Halo needs to save Earth to be successful. It needs to cure everything to be successful. The truth is, Halo Infinite just has to be good. It has to be, well, the thing is, people can say good has to be great. It has to be genuinely a good game that people have.
Good Halo game, more specifically, yeah. I think.
Halo 4, people love the campaign, but not the multiplayer. Halo 5, people love the multiplayer, but not the campaign. You have to smash them two together. And that's what people have been saying for years, And the gameplay we saw last year looked bloody good, in my opinion. It's just the visuals they need to fix. And I think they're going to have to show us, because all the concept art that's came out, I think looks really cool, but we have to realize when it comes to concept art, most of that stuff doesn't make to the actual, full game. That said, the stuff shown, pretty cool stuff. I'll always take new vehicles when it comes to Halo games.
Yeah.
But they have to show us campaign, they have to show us multiplayer, and they have to show us a lot of it. And the thing is, Microsoft's been talking about Halo every month now. We will see something this month. Joseph Staten did tweet out, some video editing the other day. So they are making the E3 thing right now.
Yes.
And it's going to be a big blowout. They have to. I've been talking about, and I've mentioned this on the show before. Like, this holiday, there's going to be a soft relaunch again for these consoles. People are going to be able to go to shops now, hopefully later in the year. There's going to be more, consoles on the shelves. There's going to be more product and games. Look, Microsoft and Sony, they're going to treat this holiday big, huge. And Microsoft always likes to, have Halo slapped. Hell, Master Chief's on the Xbox Series Xbox. Like, that's how big it is. So they have to do it right. And they showed us the gameplay last year. People like the gameplay. It's the visual. And the thing is, the new screenshots we've seen recently look really good, even though they were PC, in my opinion. But I have to tell people, please stop zooming in 10,000% on compressed Twitter images.
I agree. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Like, the other day, I'm just scrolling down my feed, and people start comparing concept art to PlayStation screenshots. It's like, stop it. Nothing has to be a comparison. Like, we aren't a digital foundry, It's ridiculous. And again, like, we will see footage at E3 and it will look fantastic, but I guarantee you in the next day afterwards, people will find something in an individual frame where the game doesn't look pristine and people will meme it, because that's where we are with Halo now. And the problem with Halo is that, Boom, you've noticed as much as I have, like, the Halo community is extremely split. Like, no matter what people talk about Halo, people always have a problem with this. I say I could be enjoying Halo 4 on Twitter. Some people lose their mind, just get angry because I'm enjoying the game, So, like, the problem with 343 is, when it comes to Halo, they have to dance on eggshells. They have to be extremely careful with how they announce and what they announce. And, they've had enough time to learn. I think they'll do justice. And Microsoft know they have to go really big with Halo. They have to treat this Halo as the biggest Halo to date. And I think they will.
Yeah. You know what I would love to see? Obviously, we want to see, them, have a big blowout, right? The last time we saw an unbelievable monster blowout for Halo, at least in my opinion, was Halo 3. And I'm hoping that they return to that kind of prowess when talking about their franchise. The console's biggest franchise and biggest IP, still in my opinion. But I agree 100% with you, Boxer Bear. Let's get your opinion on this for Halo Infinite's return. It's going to be big. I think after hearing what Jamie had to say, I think we all are in agreement that they have to do it up big. But how important do you think that this is going to be to Halo to get a trailer out there? And where do you think this trailer should go? Should we see some side by side, or should this be a brand new, built from the ground up, and directed by Joseph Staten trailer?
Definitely the last thing. A new trailer. They want to avoid these comparisons. They want people to forget what was shown last year. They don't want those side-by-side comparisons. Those will be out there anyway. A lot of people on Twitter and other social media channels and YouTube will post these side-by-side comparisons. But they don't want that on the big stage. They want Halo to shine. It is their biggest IP to date. It was supposed to be their big launch title. That did unfortunately not happen. And like Jamie said, he hit the nail on the head. This fall is kind of a soft reboot for the Xbox Series consoles and the PlayStation 5, because now Sony and Microsoft will have to start to fight for the wallet of the customer. So far, every console that got manufactured was immediately sold out. And this is going to change. May it be this fall, may it be the next spring, but now we are entering the phase where the platform holders have to actually win customers over. So that's the reason why it is absolutely super important for Microsoft to have a top-notch showing of Halo. They can't afford another backlash. If the internet, you know how it goes. There is the smallest thing in that trailer that puts people off, and people will start smashing and trashing Halo again. So they will absolutely take care that this trailer is super high polished. I'm really hoping that it's not just a trailer. I really hope that they give another extended gameplay segment, but this time they will take really care what kind of segment will they show. They will show sequences where the graphics can really shine, because again, like Jamie said, I didn't hear anyone complain about the gameplay. Everyone complained about the visuals, and they will try to focus on that, and give a beautiful presentation for Halo that people really go out and say, okay, that game looks fantastic. Yeah, because that's just what sells games, to be honest. A lot of the marketing these days is done via social media, and people post those 10-second clips on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and so on. And when people scroll through the timelines, they only get a couple of seconds to see the game, and Microsoft will make sure that when they put out another trailer, every second of that trailer, because they don't know which second people are going to post later, but every second shines, looks beautiful. So yeah, that's what they will do. I'm really hoping that they give that kind of narrated gameplay demo. I really like what Sony is doing with their events when they had just when it was 2 weeks ago or so, when they had the Ratchet & Clank showing 15 minutes of gameplay, a little bit narrated, and this kind of showing is what they need to do. The gameplay looks super, graphics look polished now, and then they are off for a good start, because gameplay wise, I think we are in for a treat. It's gonna be a fantastic gameplay a game. I have no doubt about that. I don't think we will see that super duper graphic showcase. It will look really good, a lot better than what we've seen last year. But it's not going to be that game that will make our jaws drop to the floor. That's going to be a Hellblade or a game like that.
I don't know about that, dude. I'm going to be honest with you. I beg to differ, and I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that yes, Halo, it's a first person shooter. So I mean, obviously, when you try to match a first person game versus a third person experience in a third person story like a Hellblade, you can go like really hard on the graphics. But
absolutely,
if you think about this for a second, if you go from when it was first shown, and again, a lot of people walked away with it not happy with the graphics. I agree with you. I don't think a lot of people complained about the gameplay, but the game is done. I know that Joseph Staten has said he's beaten the game multiple times. Right now, from July to when they're going to show it in June, that's 11 months of polish. And then on top of that, Boxer Bear, it's not releasing until, in my opinion, the 15th of November, celebrating the 20th anniversary of both Master Chief and Xbox for that matter. Yeah. It's going to have 14, 15 months of polish time. So absolutely. I think this can look like an unbelievable masterpiece.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it will look bad or anything. Not at all. It will look absolutely gorgeous, but I think at this point everyone has in their head something that they really cannot achieve or fulfill. The game will look absolutely stunning. It will run even better. It will be a huge open worldish kind of game, that will run at 60 FPS with 120 FPS option, and it will look absolutely amazing. There will be ray tracing. It will look great. I'm not sure if it will be that big, super duper graphics showcase. That's just where I'm not really convinced. I'm hopefully wrong, and the graphics will make my jaw drop to the floor. I think that part is going to be other games from the Xbox first party studios. That doesn't mean that the game will look bad at all. I'm just saying temper your expectations. Because I've seen people out there making expectations up for Halo Infinite. I think that they won't be able to fulfill. It will be a super beautiful game, but I think their main focus is not just on super detailed textures and environments. It's more like the whole combination, that the gameplay is fluid, even if it's going crazy on screen, that the effects will look good. That's their focus, and so it will be a beautiful game, no doubt. But we should all set our expectations right. That's just all I'm saying.
I mean, I agree. I mean, like I said, Mr. Badbit, I got to bring you in on the conversation, because if you didn't know, folks, he's on loan, and he cost me quite an arm and a leg from PlayStation delegation. They're very expensive. Yes. They are Sony, right? But if you didn't know, he is one of the biggest Halo fans. Yes, he has an he has a PlayStation show. Yes, he's a big PlayStation guy. But yes, he's a big fan of Master Chief and Halo. Here's my question to you, Joe. How big does this trailer need to be for Halo Infinite to once again jump back into the minds and hearts of people that walked away disappointed last July?
It needs to build reassurance in that they have listened to their community. I'm gonna be Aretha Franklin with you guys.
Okay, here we go.
Oftentimes we talk about in generalities what games need to be, ought to be, should be, right? When we talk about Halo and we talk about what it should be or what it could be, we see people on both sides trying to, bash Halo, give you, I love what Jamie said, like zoom in on an image 10,000% to see a Craig face, right? Like we've seen people though at the same exact time go out of their way talking about how this game's going to blow everyone's expectations and all that, right? I feel like the expectations or the base of this game on social media's discussion is this game is either going to be great and you're stupid for thinking otherwise, or there's no way this game could be great and it's been in development hell, engine, blah blah blah. Preg, right? It's just a duality of either people stroking the ego of Microsoft and E3 and 343 for the sake of social media engagement, or it's people that are bashing 343 and Xbox for the sake of social media engagement. I want us for a sec to take Twitter engagement out of the question here and ask ourselves a real question. Even the person that told us that we're not fans before said, is what does Halo need to do to be successful in its fan base's perspective, right? At the end of the day, this game will come into the zeitgeist and it will leave the mainstream zeitgeist, right? What happens after it leaves that mainstream zeitgeist is what is going to determine whether this game is a success or not. It's not up to us. It's not up to, you know, anybody on this panel other than the people that are, you know, the diehard fans that are going to stick with this game after the 90-day tail that it's going to have during its holiday release. That's who it really needs to impress, while at the same exact time garnering new eyes on the product, right? We are walking into, and this is Halo. This means something for Xbox.
Yeah,
it means also, and it shows the trajectory of where they're going. Let's not be ignorant about it. The question is valid whether people blow it out of proportion or not. Halo is walking in to a holiday season, to games as service, to a Fortnite, to Warzone, to Apex Legends, to these games that have these fan bases that are free to play, right? They're coming in through that Xbox perspective to try to fight for an audience there. That is why Halo's multiplayer is free to play, because they understand that Warzone, Fortnite, Apex exists, and they're all vying for those player bases' attention. What Halo needs to do isn't just show a trailer. It is to build that reassurance, but also to convince the naysayers that this is the game that you need to leave Call of Duty for. Because remember, Halo stopped being as powerful as it once is because Call of Duty came and said, here's how you do the controller output. Here's how a first-person multiplayer game should feel. And it captivated people more than Halo did. Right. Same with what Fortnite's done. And you're seeing Call of Duty combat that with Warzone, building free to play experiences that people are going to enjoy for the long term. So this trailer, what does it actually need to do? It needs to show why you need to be excited for Halo again. It does not need to be a graphical showcase, nor will it be a graphical showcase of what the Xbox is capable of. It needs to be a showcase and a celebration of 20 years of Halo, the culmination of which is this game. That alone has so much stakes in it. That's what this game needs to be. It needs to prove itself to its fan base and to newcomers. It doesn't need to prove anything for us on Twitter or social media, because how many times have we seen people root against things and it not come to fruition, or root for things and unfortunately fall through? So Twitter, I take it as just a 1% of the big pie, the big picture that is games. And we oftentimes get lost in it. So for me, Halo doesn't need to fix global warming in order it to be successful. What Halo needs to do is invoke the feelings that you have when you are playing Halo, whether when I played it with CE or whether you played it in Halo 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whichever. It needs to evoke those feelings of old while bringing new people in. And I think what we've seen from 343, and not just their Craig Brute, not just that, but in what they've shown afterwards with their monthly updates, has shown that they're trying to be as forthcoming as possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Where you should put your expectations for this game. Because, you know, Benji Sales, I'll go back to that tweet a while ago, even said there's never been as many eyes on Halo as there has been in that tweet from a year ago. And whether you thought that trailer was overblown, there was a reaction so powerful that a $1 trillion corporation that has already put $500 billion into this game said, you know what, we're going to literally wait a year. That speaks volumes. They are going to do whatever it takes for Halo to be not profitable, because at this point, let's take that out of the conversation, but be successful to its fan base. And I'm sorry for the rant, but I really got to preface this because I feel like people are setting expectations in wildly inaccurate spaces where it's all this game needs to be is fun, but also fun for the broader fan base. That's the polarizing thing, because again, what I mentioned before is when you have people arguing whether there should be or can't be a sprint in this game and what is fundamental Halo, and you got people arguing about it, this game has some steeps and some valleys to traverse through. So to me, there's a lot riding on Halo. There's no doubt about it.
No, I agree with you. I think there is a lot.
The future of people of the way. I'm sorry, this is the last thing. The future of how people perceive Xbox Studios is riding on this, because if this game doesn't hit, and I'm not saying it needs to be a 90 on Metacritic, get Metacritic out of here. If this game isn't popular and bring in the people that, you know, a Fortnite or a Warzone bring, that is something to really take into consideration. And whether we like those games or don't, that's mute point. It needs to hit that tone, dude. I want this. Look at Resident Evil. That game, 500,000 people are watching it on Twitch, right? On its first day. That needs to be Halo. Halo needs to hit a chord with the mainstream again. More than ever.
You know something that, and I think that they understand that. And I think it's safe to say that we're probably going to get that simply because Halo's going free to play. Master Chief was in Fortnite. Master Chief is rumored to be dropping into what? Nintendo's biggest IP in Smash Brothers. They are looking to introduce the Master Chief to a wide range of audience, and the same audience. I'm not saying that the Fortnite people play Smash and Smash people play Apex Legends. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm saying is that when you take a character as iconic, that is really Xbox exclusive, like the Master Chief, and you put him in Fortnite, and you put him potentially in the rumored Smash Brothers, you're introducing a cool-looking space character that someone may want to come over to Xbox because of Game Pass, because now Halo is going to be free to play, like the Apex Legends, like the Fortnites. And I think it will steal many, but not just a few, many players from these other games like Warzone and like Apex Legends. I really think that we're going to see.
I'm hoping.
I agree with you. I agree.
You know, you're facing a real talk. You are facing nimble opponents. Like, do not underestimate Epic. Look at Apex Legends. This is a great example, right? Apex Legends, when it first came out, had a ping system that everybody for a week was just like, wow, why isn't this in Fortnite? And the week afterwards, Fortnite literally put a ping system in their game. Like, you're fighting with an opponent that has just as much as resources as you, understands their audience, and understands, like, yeah, they're a force to be reckoned with, and a marketing tool. You're totally right. There's a reason why their Master Chief came to Fortnite. You know, there is a reason why they're doing all these cross-promotional deals. They want to make Halo a big deal again. And it's a tricky thing to try to balance of, like, how do we make Halo a big deal while coercing our audience that, hey, putting some modern elements in Halo isn't going to break your game. It's a tricky thing to try to. It is. It
is. Well, listen, I hope they have Sprint, but again, that's here nor there at this point.
It better.
It absolutely has to have Sprint, for crying out loud. But 3-bit, let's get you are a big Halo fan, and you're also an artist. So what I would like to do and as before we close out the show, because we're almost at 2 hours and it's been one hell of a show, I kind of want to get your production value opinion on what you would be doing for Halo Infinite's Return to Greatness campaign, which is going to be at E3 2021. Where do you go with this?
If I was an employee at 343 and I'm seeing all the feedback, I'm seeing like where I would want Halo to go, I would honestly do something like a what Rockstar sort of does with how they present GTA 5. Like they've been saying all this different stuff with like their blogs and what's new with Halo Infinite, like the creatures. There's like luminescent creatures at night, and that changes like some of the gameplay. There's like they talked about like grunts and jackals having like shifts and maybe they fall asleep at night and maybe you could sneak in certain bases. They've talked about this in the blog, in some of their blogs. I think we need to see a presentation to see how they can present that information from their blog, see what's different, show off the campaign, show off the multiplayer so that people can see what's different. I'm not concerned about the graphics. I think people keep forgetting that like Halo 4 was like a 360 showcase. It pushed 360 to its limits with
game.
like
Beautiful.
like it's still one of the best looking 360 games in my opinion. And
What you're talking about Halo 4? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Halo 5 is a masterpiece in regards to graphics as well.
Yeah, like I'm not worried about them with graphics if that's what they're capable of. I think those are two showcase titles for graphics. If you want to look at what they're capable of, go back, play Halo 4 and 5. I think if anything, like the biggest thing that people are concerned about, if it's graphics, then I think they're in a decent place. Especially if I'm seeing like the images and the things that they're releasing, especially with them working on the ray tracing. The biggest problem they probably have internally is their engine. Like they've a lot of the developers working at 343 was complaining about using the same engine. Like people don't think about, they've had the same engine from Halo like 1 to all the way to Halo 5. Same engine. It's the Blam engine. They use the same thing. They kept reiterating it and pushing that engine to its limits, and it caused a lot of issues with Halo 5's production. A lot of things are cut, and et cetera, et cetera. So internally, I'm sure they are happy that they are finally getting that new engine. However, that's because new engines are hard, right? Like you're working on Unreal Engine 5 and they're going to continue. They're still making Unreal Engine 5. It's in the beta phase right now, but engines don't just stop being done. Like you don't just work on an engine and it's done and complete. You continue to reiterate it and
Yes.
reiterate it and until like pretty much forever because technology is always getting better. We always learn new techniques for rendering and gameplay, making things easier for both the developers and also the gamers. So I do not envy the job at 343. I think they have a really hard job. This game is supposed to not only revitalize the franchise, but as a staple name for Xbox, but it has to do that while appeasing the new and old fans. I love Halo. Just like Mr. Badbit, I probably have thousands of hours as I used to play competitively and all this different stuff. I'm really passionate about Halo. I think
people in the chat don't think so. They think you're a fake fan.
Well, all I gotta do is look at my profile. It's kind of bad. It's very bad. But yeah, I think they definitely got a challenge here. I'm not concerned about the graphics. I'm looking forward to where they're taking the story. And Halo, what Halo is to me, it's this weird blend of open world sort of environments. Not completely open world, but now it is, I guess. Impactful music and an arena style gameplay. If they can nail that, then I'm excited for it. I think in terms of change, nostalgia is very powerful. It's a powerful factor. people think they want new things, then as soon as they get it, they're just like, they compare it to the original, right? So nostalgia is a powerful factor, and at the end of the day, what they need to focus on as a team, as a development, they just make a good game at the end of it. And I think certain games can get away with like a soft reboot, like a God of War is a great example on how they changed up the formula and sort of got away with it. Sort of feels like they sort of snuck that game in, because they really changed a lot of stuff. But yeah, I'm looking forward to where they're taking the Halo franchise. I think what they need to do at E3 is show off some of these new stuff that they're talking about. Show off the day and night cycle, get people excited that are in the Halo aren't as big into Halo, right? There's a couple people in the comments I'm seeing in this podcast where they're like, I never played Halo multiplayer. Which to me is just like crazy. But show people why they should get into it. And I think there's a lot of things we haven't seen yet. I don't think there's a battle royale mode, but I do think there is something akin to that. So I really want to see what they got going on, and they should just show it in a really good presentation. Show off your campaign, show off your multiplayer, show off the co-op in the campaign. I think that will engage people more because multiplayer is huge nowadays. Show that off, and I think they'll be okay.
I agree. Well, listen, folks, this has been one hell of a conversation, man. We hit on 4 major topics, 2+ hours worth of content for you for the absolute price of nothing but a like and the sub. If you're new to the channel, I want to thank the nearly 400 people we had here, which is awesome. Of course, I want to thank the chat for always being cool. And obviously, I don't like to stop up the chat, but every now and again, someone, forgets their place. And one thing I will not stand for is anyone to be disrespectful or loud or boisterous. So you're allowed to have your opinion, but if you get out of line, I'm just going to ban you straight up. I'm not worried about losing 1 sub or 1 click or 1 like. Listen, you got to act. You can't get yourself all bent out of shape because our opinion's different from yours, or even when we're not talking about the same thing, you seem to be a little bit off page. And I'm not going to mention the name. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But listen, folks, I appreciate you being here each and every week. I hope that you're enjoying the content. Like I said, the big announcement for the channel is coming in the next few weeks. As soon as the ducks line up, Mrs. Boomstick and I will be talking about that, and then we will reinstate super chat, super stickers, and of course channel membership. And of course, if you are inclined to do so, you will then again be able to drop super chats to help support Double Barrel Gaming, something that you've been doing for quite some time, and it's always greatly appreciated. So let's get to the outros, and we're going to start first with our special guest, Jamie Moran. Obviously, right now you're counting down the hours to Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I know you can't wait to play. Tell everyone about your incredible YouTube channel, but more importantly, where could people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been a great show today, and great to hear Archimedes is feeling a lot better. But yeah, my YouTube is, The Elusive Gamer. I do Xbox content, and it's just Xbox. I don't even really talk about other platforms ever, and it's all fair Xbox stuff. And I have a big video coming out on Monday, some Mass Effect stuff coming out after that, and yeah, I have a podcast coming out soon, but I've been trying to get stuff fixed around behind the scenes. So news about that should be coming out in the next 2 weeks. Which I'm really looking forward to. I've never hosted my own podcast before. And yeah, my Twitter is Jamie Moran UK, where it's just game and stuff.
Well, Jamie, thank you for being here, brother. And yes, your channel is awesome. And yes, he does put out fair content. Nothing fanboyish. He really does go out of his way to make sure that the conversation is fair. And speaking of welcome back, Boxer Bear, first of all, brother, welcome back to your first show in what seemed like to be over a month. It's great that, that you're feeling better and that you're well, that your family is well. But you seem to be right back in the seat. You didn't miss a beat at all. Tell everyone about your incredible YouTube channel, and more importantly, where can people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Yeah, first of all, thanks again for having me on the show. I'm so glad to be back. It's been a blast as always. These chats on the Xbox Sector podcast is really one of my highlights of my week. And especially if you're sick at home and don't have anything else to do, you really appreciate that you have some friends on the other side of the pond that you can just talk about gaming and the stuff you are excited about. And so thanks again for having me. And yeah, people can find me basically everywhere at Boxenberger. On Twitter, of course, that's where I'm most active, but you can also DM me on Xbox or PlayStation. And yeah, you can find my YouTube channel also at Boxenberger. I think the link is also in the description here of this podcast. I also have an Xbox-centric channel where I covered certain topics of the gaming industry, and this week I uploaded my first video after the COVID infection, and it is a prediction video for the Xbox E3 conference. So if you're looking for some excitement for E3, definitely check that out. And yeah, I can't wait to be back on the show next week.
Yes, and speaking of predictions, as we get closer to E3, we're going to be celebrating not only the 20 years of Xbox, which they'll be celebrating this E3. And I think someone had put in the chat there's some sort of a 20-year celebration thing going on Twitch with Xbox. I didn't even know about that, so I'm going to check that out afterwards. But yeah, we're going to be talking about our 20-year experiences with the brand.
Oh man,
what's our
awesome.
favorite? Yeah, what's our favorite characters? Favorite franchises. What's some of the older franchises we'd love to see come back?
And when is this?
Well, no, what I'm talking about is what we're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, good. I want in on that.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely will be, because we're going to be doing it throughout the channel on different, because obviously each show has different groups of people, and I want to really get everybody in on the conversation about celebrating Xbox. But I think there's something going on with a 20-year celebration with Xbox with Twitch. I think it's right after this program, and it might have already started. Someone had made mention of it in the chat. I didn't even know that they were doing that. But again, folks, I want to thank everybody for being here. Joe, let's get your outro, brother. You've been doing some really big things. Obviously, you and Kyle had a chance last week to interview the Greg Baker's Dozen Miller, which was incredible. Really well done. You didn't sound as nervous as you told me you felt.
Really?
You sounded pretty good in my opinion. I mean,
did I get Kyle to talk? Like, did he do fine?
He did. Kyle did great. And speaking of Kyle, didn't he just did he get on, or is he going on? P.S. I love you.
Oh man, so we got some stuff for you guys here at the Trophy Room, a PlayStation show. So last week we had Greg on the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning into that episode. We literally charted
episode. I catch you later.
Thank you. We literally broke the top 50 of iTunes video game charts and the top 100 for leisure, which is like, we beat the Great British Quilting Show. Okay, that's how good we did. There's a podcast about quilting.
You should get a badge made up for that.
You know what? Yeah, suck it, quilters. But yeah, seriously, the support and the love, the opportunities that have come out because of it are absolutely huge. So make sure you check out this week's episode where it's just me and Kyle talking about all those 25 first party games, the Ratchet and Clank preview. And yeah, we got some really big stuff on the horizon. If you thought Greg Miller was big, we're thinking bigger, starting with Kyle Stevenson, my co-host, my brother in arms. He will be going on PS I Love You, the largest PlayStation podcast in the world, to spread the good word about the Trophy Room there next week, May 17th. So please check that out. Give him some love. He definitely has earned it. We got some NDA stuff that we can't really talk about, but we got more crazy things that we're excited to share. And also we got some YouTube stuff that we're doing next week. So everybody that's been asking, hey, Joe, can I be on a show? Can I be on a show? Your prayers will be answered. You got to just check your DM. So yeah, make sure you follow the Trophy Room on YouTube. Make sure you follow the Trophy Room wherever you get your podcast service of choice, whether that is Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, wherever you find podcasts, you can find us there. Also, we're doing a giveaway, and I know this is an Xbox podcast, but we're doing a giveaway for Ratchet and Clank on the PlayStation 5. We're trying to reach 200 reviews on iTunes. We are only like 30 away from that, and we thought, what better way to give back to the community? And if you're an Xbox fan and you appreciate the show, let me know and we'll give you a different game or Game Pass, whatever your heart desires. Just make sure you give us a 5-star review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts rather. And it's a lot of fun things ahead. A lot of fun things.
Well, we're looking forward to that, brother. Definitely can't wait to hear what you have going on. And you're doing some great things over there. And obviously, we're real proud of you here on the Xbox Factor podcast. Rebit, well, let's get you on out of here, brother. What do you got going on? And what other shows are you a part of? And more importantly, where can people reach out to you on social media and strike up a conversation?
Everyone can find me on Twitter. It's the VGHD. My YouTube channel is the Video Games HD. I'm on several shows. I'm on Xbox Factor every Thursday. I was like, what day is it today? Every Thursday with these lovely people. And at nighttime at 10:30, I am on Fun Pop, where we just talk about comic books, and I get to talk about that, and that's a pretty nice and fun little show. I'm on Xbox Ultimate every Friday at 9 p.m., and that's going to have some pretty surprising guests, so you guys tune in for that one. And besides that, I pop in on some occasional shows here and there, so just watch my Twitter and see what I do, I guess. But it's been a fun show, everybody. Archimedes, good to see you again. It's been awesome bouncing off different stuff with you, and I'm glad you're healthy and good. So thanks to everybody in the chat. It's been a really fun show, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Well, thanks so much for being here, brother, and definitely appreciate you being, obviously giving the congratulations to Archimedes on being back. Yeah, we're real happy to know that he's back. He's healthy, and I think that's the super important part of it. And folks, listen, obviously, this was a great show. Tomorrow morning's Breakfast with Boom is going to continue the fun parade of game talking. I have an incredible amount of topics that are going to include Xbox, PlayStation, and yes, we'll be talking some Nintendo tomorrow. Some big announcements expected in the next few weeks, one of which includes Metroid, folks, and we're going to get into that tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm trying to get a guest to join us. I'll let you know as soon as that guest confirms that they're going to be on the program. But I'll close out today's show with something that's important to me. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dear old dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the Tuesday edition of the Xbox Factor podcast.